My sister Amanda's wedding reception was held at the country club our grandmother had belonged to for 40 years. White tablecloths, crystal chandeliers, a string quartet playing softly in the corner. 200 guests celebrated Amanda's marriage to a corporate attorney, while my mother held court at the head table as if she were the one getting married. I had worn my best dress, a simple navy blue number I'd bought on sale 3 years ago, standing next to Amanda's bridesmaids in their custom silk gowns. I looked exactly what I was, a 32-year-old middle school teacher who shopped at outlet malls and drove a car with 200,000 miles on it. My mother had already made 3 comments about my appearance before dinner was served. Too plain. Too simple. Couldn't I have tried harder on Amanda's special day? My brother Tyler laughed each time, and my younger sister Sophie rolled her eyes in that polite, restrained way that said she agreed but wasn't going to speak up. I'd learned long ago not to respond. Silence was easier than defending myself to people who had already decided I was the family disappointment. The champagne incident happened after dinner. Amanda's new husband gave a heartfelt speech about finding his soulmate. My father, divorced from my mother 10 years ago and remarried, gave an awkward toast about new beginnings. Then my mother stood, glass in hand, slightly unsteady from the 3 cocktails she'd consumed during dinner. "To my beautiful daughter Amanda," she began, her voice carrying across the ballroom, "you've always known exactly what you wanted and how to get it. You've never settled for less than you deserved. You've made me so proud." Her eyes found me at the far end of the head table. "Unlike some people in this family who are content with mediocrity, you've always reached for excellence." A few guests shifted uncomfortably. Amanda's face tightened in embarrassment, but she didn't stop our mother. "Some people," my mother continued, walking toward me with her champagne glass raised, "think that being ordinary is enough. That a tiny apartment, a teacher's salary, and no ambition are acceptable." She stopped directly in front of me. The entire ballroom went silent. "This is all you'll ever be," she said, and dumped the entire glass of champagne over my head. The cold liquid ran down my face, soaked my hair and dripped onto my navy dress. The ballroom was silent for 3 long seconds. Then Tyler started laughing. Sophie joined in nervously. A few of my mother's friends tittered. Amanda looked mortified but said nothing. I remained still, champagne dripping from my hair. I didn't wipe my face. I didn't stand. I didn't give them the satisfaction of a reaction. I simply reached into my purse, pulled out my phone, and checked the email I'd received that morning. The one from my grandmother's estate attorney confirming that all property transfers had been completed and recorded with the county. It listed me as the sole owner of 4 residential properties in the greater metropolitan area. The house where my mother lived, the condo where Tyler lived with his family, the townhouse where Sophie had been living rent-free for 3 years, and the Lake Tahoe vacation cabin Amanda had used every summer since college. My grandmother had passed away 6 weeks earlier at age 93. The funeral had been small, just family. The will reading had taken place 2 weeks prior, attended by my mother, my siblings, and me. My grandmother's attorney, a precise woman named Margaret Chin, had read the will in her office conference room. "To my daughter, Patricia," Margaret read, looking at my mother, "I leave my jewelry collection and personal effects, excluding any real property or financial assets." My mother looked confused but not concerned, assuming the real assets would be divided among all of us. "To my grandchildren, Tyler, Sophie, and Amanda, I leave $10,000 each." My siblings exchanged glances. $10,000 was nice, but they had expected much more. My grandmother had been comfortably wealthy, with multiple properties and a substantial investment portfolio. "To my granddaughter, Jennifer," Margaret continued, looking directly at me, "I leave the entirety of my real estate holdings, including the primary residence at 847 Oak Street, the condominium at Riverside Towers, Unit 403, the townhouse at 28 Maple Lane, and the cabin property in Lake Tahoe. I also leave her my complete investment portfolio, currently valued at approximately $3.2 million, and all remaining financial assets." The room went silent. "That can't be right," my mother stammered. "Jennifer gets everything? That's impossible." Margaret handed her a copy of the will. "It's quite clear. Mrs. Morrison was very specific about her wishes. She also left a letter for the family, which I am authorized to read if there are questions about her decision." "Read it," Tyler demanded. Margaret opened a sealed envelope. My grandmother's handwriting was shaky but legible. She had dictated the letter to Margaret. To my family, Margaret read, I am leaving the bulk of my estate to Jennifer because she is the only one who ever visited me without asking for money. She came every Sunday for 8 years, even while working 2 jobs to pay off her student loans. She called me every Wednesday just to talk. She remembered my birthday, my anniversary with your grandfather, and the day your grandfather died. The rest of you visited only when you needed something. Patricia, you borrowed $60,000 from me over the years and never repaid a penny. Tyler, you borrowed $40,000 for your business that failed, then asked for more. Sophie, I paid your credit card debt 3 times. Amanda, I have been giving you money for vacations and shopping for years. Jennifer never asked for anything. She never borrowed money. She never treated me like a bank account. She loved me because I was her grandmother, not because I was wealthy. The properties you all live in are Jennifer's now. You have been living rent-free or at substantially reduced rates for years. Jennifer will decide what to do with them. I trust her. Judgment completely. My mother had stood up. This is undue influence. Jennifer manipulated her. We'll contest this, she said. Margaret remained calm. Mrs. Morrison anticipated that response. She was evaluated by 2 independent physicians who confirmed her mental capacity. The will was executed properly with witnesses. She also documented every loan she gave to each of you, every request for money, and every visit Jennifer made. She kept detailed records for years. You're welcome to contest, but I should inform you that your mother specifically instructed me to vigorously defend this while using estate funds if necessary. We had left the attorney's office with my mother threatening legal action and my siblings in shocked silence. None of them had spoken to me since, until the wedding which had been planned before my grandmother's death. Amanda had considered postponing but decided to go forward. My mother had insisted I still attend, probably hoping for some kind of confrontation or reconciliation. She got her confrontation, just not the way she expected. I stood up from the table, champagne still dripping from my hair. I walked to the ladies' room without saying a word. Inside, I dried off as best I could, texted my friend Sarah to come pick me up, and left the country club through a side entrance. The next morning, I met with my property manager, a competent woman named Lisa, who had managed my grandmother's properties for 15 years. I want to give them proper notice, I told her. 60 days, month-to-month tenants. Legal eviction if they don't leave voluntarily. All 4 properties? Lisa asked. All 4. I'm selling 3 and keeping the Lake Tahoe cabin for myself. Your mother's house is worth about $800,000. The condo $600,000, the townhouse $500,000. You're looking at about $1.9 million in sales, minus the mortgages which are all paid off. You'll clear close to $1.8 million after fees and taxes. Good. Start the process. The eviction notices went out by certified mail 3 days later. My mother called 16 times. I didn't answer. Tyler sent angry texts. I blocked his number. Sophie came to my apartment crying, begging me to reconsider. You can't make us homeless, she said through tears. Where are we supposed to go? The same place everyone else goes when they need housing. You find an apartment you can afford and rent it. Or you buy a house. You have jobs. You have income. You'll figure it out. But I can't afford market rate rent in this city. I'm a yoga instructor. I barely make $30,000 a year. Then get a roommate. Move to a cheaper area. Get a different job. That's what everyone else does. This is because of the champagne thing, isn't it? No. Mom was drunk. She didn't mean it. This is because Grandma left me these properties and I've decided to sell them. What Mom did at the wedding just confirmed I'm making the right decision. We're family, Sophie pleaded. Family doesn't dump champagne on your head at a wedding and tell you you're worthless. Family doesn't spend decades treating you like you're less than everyone else because you chose a normal job instead of chasing money. Family doesn't visit their grandmother only when they need to borrow cash. Sophie left crying. I felt bad for about 10 minutes, then remembered every family gathering I had ever attended. The punchline, the disappointment, the cautionary tale about settling for mediocrity. My mother tried a different approach. She hired a lawyer to contest the will. Margaret shut it down within 3 weeks. The evidence was overwhelming. My grandmother's mental capacity was documented, the the will properly executed, and decades of loans and requests for money meticulously recorded. The eviction proceedings moved forward. Tyler refused to leave, so I had to go to court. The judge reviewed the case for about 15 minutes. "You are a month-to-month tenant," the judge told Tyler. "The property owner has given you 60 days' notice. You have no lease, no ownership interest, no legal basis to remain. You need to vacate." "She's my sister," Tyler argued. "This is a family property. This is private property owned by your sister. Family relationships don't override property law. You have 2 weeks to vacate or the sheriff will remove you." Tyler moved out with 3 days to spare, taking cabinet doors and light fixtures in spite. I documented everything and sent him a bill for damages. He ignored it, so I sent it to collections. Sophie moved in with a friend. Amanda and her new husband found a rental house, though she complained bitterly about having to pay rent after years of free lake access. My mother downsized to a 1-bedroom apartment in a less expensive part of town. None of them spoke to me. My mother told extended family I was cruel and heartless, that I had turned my grandmother against them, that I had stolen their inheritance. Some relatives believed her. Others had watched my grandmother's relationship with her daughter and grandchildren for years and knew the truth. I sold the properties within 4 months. The cabin in Lake Tahoe became my weekend retreat. The $1.8 million from the sales went into investment accounts. Combined with my grandmother's existing portfolio, I had nearly $5 million in assets, generating enough income that I could quit teaching if I wanted to. I didn't quit. I love teaching. I did, however, reduce my hours, bought a reliable new car, and moved into a nicer apartment with a view. A year later, Amanda sent me a text. Just one line. "Mom's apartment lease is up and she can't afford renewal at market rate. Can you help?" I read it 3 times. Remembered the champagne dripping down my face. Remembered my mother's voice saying, "This is all you'll ever be." Remembered 28 years of being treated like I was less than my siblings because I chose purpose over profit. I typed back. No, she didn't respond. My grandmother's will had one more provision I hadn't shared with anyone. A letter addressed to me personally, separate from the family letter Margaret had read. "Jennifer," it said in my grandmother's careful handwriting. "You're reading this because I've died and you've inherited everything. Your mother and siblings are probably angry. They're probably claiming you manipulated me or that I wasn't in my right mind. I want you to know that I made these decisions very deliberately over many years. I watched how they treated you. I watched them come to me asking for money while you came to me with stories about your students and questions about my life. I watched them take and take and take while you gave and gave and gave. You deserve better from your family. Since they wouldn't give it to you, I'm giving you something else. The freedom to build the life you want without worrying about money and the power to decide whether they deserve any part of your life. Don't let them guilt you into giving them what they didn't earn. Don't let them convince you that being kind means being a doormat. Real family lifts you up. They don't portion pain on your head. I love you. I'm proud of you. And I'm sorry your mother and siblings never saw what I saw. Someone remarkable who chose meaning over money and kindness over cruelty. Be happy. You've earned it. Love, Grandma. I keep that letter in my desk drawer. On days when I doubt myself, when I wonder if I'm being too harsh or too unforgiving, I read it again. My grandmother saw clearly what took me years to understand. Some people don't deserve access to your life, your love, or your resources, not even if they're family. Especially not if they treat you like you're worthless. I chose to believe my grandmother over my mother. I chose to trust the person who loved me unconditionally over the people who loved me only when it was convenient.